Here for the latest video. I've been doing a lot of these lately. One, because I enjoy doing them. Two, because I'm trying to get into the spirit of posting more video content here. And what better way than to talk shop, right? Good old horror. So you may remember from the last video, which I believe was the top 5 most disturbing horror films, that I said I would be going over some franchises. Well, that's what we're here for tonight. And tonight, I will be analyzing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. That's Leatherface over there. There's another poster of him. There's another right there. And I am even dressed for the occasion. So I'm not a fan, am I? Without further ado, the analyzing of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. Now, full disclosure, I have only recently become a fan. I don't know if that's considered me jumping on the bandwagon, but the first time I ever saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually like 2 years ago, maybe 3. I know, crazy, right? There's no excuse. Like, how can you sit here and call yourself a horror fan, Justin? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm late to the party on a lot of things, right? Basically, I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, for the first time. I want to say, let's say 3 years ago. So 2022, maybe even 2020. I'm pretty sure it was 2022, maybe 2023. Anywho, a couple years ago, and what can I say? Excellent film. Right amount of gore, the right amount of suspense, scare factors completely up there. What's not to love, you know? Funny thing is, I've actually seen House of a Thousand Corpses by Rob Zombie more times than I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you've seen that film, then you know it's insanely inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So after I realized that I can finally say that I've seen it, I thought, well, let's see how many are in the franchise, right? There's 9. That's just way too many. But for every good movie, there is a shitty sequel. Is there not? That's what we're here for, to analyze the entire franchise. So I'm gonna go right down the list from 1 to 9 and break them all down. Have I seen all 9? Unfortunately, yes, I have. I actually spent a week watching all 9 films. Although I don't think I watched the first one when I watched them during the week, because I already knew I've already seen that one, right? So 2 through 9 I watched. All right. I'm going to refer to my phone here just so I can get the names, in the general idea of each film. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, came out on October 11th, 1974. I was not here yet. What can you say about the original? It's an absolute classic, a masterpiece, if you will. People like me have memorabilia for it, and sure, it's what started the entire franchise, Leatherface, right? The first film, in my opinion, obviously the first one's always the best, right? But I would right away, I'm gonna say the first one, of course, it has that it factor. They pick up a hitcher on the side of the road. They realize he's a total freak because he cuts his arm. I believe they get stranded, or they come across the house, right? They come across the freaking house, and that's what starts it. Leatherface coming out of the metal door, the decrepit-looking room with dead birds and God knows what else in there. It's just an overall great film. In the the best part of it is the fact that they made you think that back in the day when they released it in 1974 on October 11th, they made you think that it really happened. Like, these based on true events? People certainly thought so when they saw it in the theaters, right? Excellent way to promote and market a film, right? So, of course, because the film did so well, and because it developed such a good following afterwards and even a cult following, more had to follow, right? Because if any good horror fan knows, directors and producers, even back in the day, can't just leave things the fuck alone. They can't. They have to beat it to death. One day I will do a video on the Fast and the Furious films, and you're going to want to be there for that. But that's for another day. We're talking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're talking good films, right? Or are we? So yeah, the first film is what started it all. And in the horror genre, probably top 10, one of the best films of all time. Changed my mind. I'm sitting at that booth. Changed my mind. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the top 10 best horror films of all time. Changed my mind. All right. Then, of course, we get into the second, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. We are introduced to a new character. In fact, this is one of the things that bothers me about the second one, right? We're introduced to two new characters. So, Leatherface is pretty much the only person from the first film that's still in the second one. Although I believe I think the other guy, there is another guy in there, right? I believe he is. You just don't really notice him because he looks so different. But Leatherface is there, and I believe Dennis Hopper is in that one. Am I confusing them? Hold on, I gotta double check this. If this is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, okay. Dennis Hopper is pursuing the family after the massacres. It's discovered this crazy family, if they're supposedly real, is on the run, and Dennis Hopper is going after them. We're also introduced to Bill Moseley, who of course is known for the House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie movies. But this is probably why Rob Zombie picked him, right? Because he plays a character named Chop Top. And basically, this one is about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is about Dennis Hopper going after the family, but I believe it's just Leatherface and then Chop Top, who we don't know where he comes from. He's just kind of introduced. He's a wacky, goofy, crazy, sadistic, off the wall character who is apparently the brother or a cousin of Leatherface, and they go to this recording booth, and there's this DJ, and they harass the DJ. They kill the producer, and they harass the DJ. And I won't tell you the whole film, but it is kind of messy, and it got an X rating at the time. So think of that what you will. It definitely lacks the prestige that the first one has, and it's really hard to like. I mean, personally, I like Chop Top, Bill Moseley's character, but at the same time, I find him so irritating because it's like you don't have to act, but you do. I don't know. I want backstory, and I think that's probably why I don't like him at times, because I don't know where he's coming from. Like, I don't know who he is. He's kooky, sadistic, off the wall, but so is Leatherface, right? Still wielding the chainsaw. The second one, I don't really care for it. I don't like it, but you can hold that thought because I'm going to actually come back to the second one. But right now, I'm telling you, I don't like it. Then, of course, we get Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Excuse me. I had to Google this one because I forgot all about it, right? So the third one stars Viggo Mortensen, who is also apparently a part of the family. This is one of the things I don't like about the franchise. Leatherface is the only constant character because they realized that there's a guy wearing other people's faces on his face, other people's skin on his face, right? Leatherface. And he's wielding a chainsaw. Hey, we can build around this guy. Obviously. But my problem is, yeah, you can build off of him, but why can't you also incorporate other characters? There is another character that, of course, is incorporated in the films, and that's the grandfather, which is one of the biggest question marks of the entire series, I would imagine. Like, is he dead? Is he not dead? What's going on there, right? If you've seen the films, you know what I'm talking about. Like, is he dead? I don't actually know. I don't know. So the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, is called Leatherface, so it focuses on him. And basically, they go after and antagonize this couple. These people, they end up at a gas station, kind of like the first one, and they see these two guys fighting over the other guy's wife. One guy shoots another guy, and we, of course, find out that they're members of the Sawyer family. Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're members of that family. Eventually, they drive off in their cars, and of course, they meet up with these people again because they realize that they're the Sawyer family, small town. And of course, they are tracked down, hunted. Their friends are killed. You know the deal. This one's all right. Obviously, again, it's not the first one. It's better than the second one. But again, how good is it really when I actually had to Google it? Like, I knew it was called Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, but if you held a gun to my head and told me what it was about, I I couldn't tell you, right? But of course, as a refresher, like I just looked at a little while ago, okay. So, in a nutshell, I would say that it's not like the second one. The second one is very sporadic. A lot of weird things are done. It's not really explained. At times you watch it and you see Leatherface and you forget you're watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's my problem with the second one. With the third one, again, because the characters are different than the first, other than Leatherface, there are times, again, you forget you're watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But compared to the second film, I like the third one. It's decent. It's passable, let's put it that way. Then we go to the next one. The Return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The New Generation. When I saw this film, this was the film that two people told me, don't watch it. Don't watch it. I remember one person telling me vehemently for years, this is before I ever watched the first one. They're like, oh, don't ever watch he thought it was the second one. Don't ever watch the second one. I watched the second one and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's bad, but nope, it was the fourth one because Matthew McConaughey is in this. Is that why it's bad? Maybe. I will break this down. Believe it. Believe me. So I finally watched. Like I was not gonna watch this one. Right. This is the one I needed to watch because I wanted to see how bad it was. This one is probably the most disassociated one to the first three. Leatherface is in it, of course, But then again, Leatherface isn't in it, is he? Where do I even begin with this film? So, spoiler alert, Matthew McConaughey is he's the sicko in this one, right? He's going around, he's just causing like craziness. There's a woman who lives in a trailer. She's the girlfriend of Matthew McConaughey. She takes in these people who you think she's going to help, but then she calls up Matthew McConaughey, and you find out that she's a part of the whole thing. She's a part of the Sawyer family as well. At least that's what you think. So naturally, when you watch this, you think that Matthew McConaughey is dating this woman, and you think he's a part of the Sawyer family. He's a cousin. I don't know if we even get that, because then another guy shows up and tells them like he was the guy. There's some guy who comes up and basically explains that Matthew McConaughey was placed there in that town with the Sawyer family as an experiment, which went way over my head, right? Like what the fuck? So he's causing all this craziness as an experiment. Like he's killing people in this small town. Like not much information is given on that, but that's the premise. That's the reason. So once you do find that out, because let's be honest, before that's told, the film's so ridiculously chaotic. It's a massacre. It just lacks plot. It lacks depth. Because Matthew McConaughey is so unhinged that, like Bill Moseley as Chop Top in the second one, it works, but in my opinion, it works to a point. It needs to go somewhere, and again, like Chop Top, it doesn't. His character doesn't really develop, and by the time he does, it's taken away from us because either we don't understand it, or it's just so far down the rabbit hole that it's like you're explaining his character to me, and I just don't care anymore. I just want this movie to be over. Don't worry, I didn't leave out the best part. So apparently, Leatherface is dressed as a woman. Let's see. He's got the face of like a woman. He wears lipstick. He's got the woman's wig. He even wears a dress. Why? Why, in God's name, was this done? If you look it up on Google, they will give you an answer. In fact, we're going to look it up right now because I forgot. I think I know. There's a second reason in there, which is kind of like really just freaking out there. Okay. One moment. All right, sorry about that. Had to. One moment, sorry about this. There we go. Okay. Had to plug my tablet in. I was like, why did it get dark all of a sudden? Totally unprofessional. I apologize. All right. So I Googled why Leatherface dresses as a woman in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, right? In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this is according to AI, so I don't know how much of truth we can take for this, right? Dresses as a woman, specifically wearing black sheer dress, and female, we know this, which some interpret as a caricature of trans panic. I don't know about that. It was 95, so I'm going to have to say no, that's not true. Oh, he's supposed to be honoring his mother. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So if you remember correctly, I think the mother's not in the film. I think she's referenced here and there. But I think, yeah, so he dresses as a woman because he's honoring his mother, which is, I mean, Google any serial killer. More, most serial killers had mother issues, right? Mommy issues. So, okay. Also, I did read at another point in time, the movie came out in 1994, 1995. Remember, back in those days, back in the early 90s, Madonna was huge. Madonna was the shit. And in Arkham Asylum with the Joker's feminized to be like Madonna. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface is also. I think I read somewhere that he was feminized to be sort of like Madonna. I read that somewhere. I don't know if it's true at all, but so yeah. So you have Leatherface dressed as a woman in this film, and Matthew McConaughey as just a totally off the wall character. So it just there we go. So it's such a bad film to me. In fact, remember I said I could be coming back to the second one? I didn't like it. Well, in my opinion, I watched the first one, loved it. Second one, didn't like it. Thought the third one was okay. Then I watched the fourth one, and suddenly I realized, hey, you know what? The second one's not so bad, right? The second one is not even that bad after you've seen the fourth one. But then there's just a total cutoff, right? 1995 was when the Next Generation Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out. Then we don't see another one until 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. 8 years later. And what is it? Is this the one that I think it is? It is. It's the one with Jessica Biel. That's how you define this one. That's how you remember this one. Jessica Biel in the white tank top, soaking wet. That's how I remember it. I'm sorry. Does that make me a bad person? So, this one is a remake to the original one from 1974. This one's actually not bad. Most, hot take here, most remakes suck, but horror remakes, they're actually passable in my opinion. I could go down the line and give you at least a couple of remakes that are pretty damn good, in my opinion. But we'll do that for another time, right? Maybe I'll make a video for the best horror remakes. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003, same premise, right? Uh, a lot gorier, right? Because obviously it's not 1974, it's 2003. But yeah, for 1974, the original was pretty damn gory, right? So again, same premise. Four friends, they go to the house, and yeah, they need help. I think that's the really messed up part. The one thing I don't like about this film is the sheriff. The sheriff. That's the guy that played in Full Metal Jacket, I believe. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong. He was known as a drill sergeant. Um, can't stand that guy. He was the most annoying thing. And aside from that, though, I think it's a good remake. Absolutely passable. Then, of course, we get the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, which is made 3 years later. Now, where does this fall, right? The film story takes place 4 years before its predecessor. So, this is the one. Um, there is a timeline in here, but it's so confusing. So I believe it takes place 4 years before the remake. For this one, we find out that the sheriff actually isn't the sheriff. It's actually a member of the Sawyer family who killed the sheriff and then took his identity. Small town, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want, you know? If this is the one I think it is. Okay. This is the one that. Yeah. See, like this. Again, this one's like the third one. Like, I don't remember it, so I have to look it up. But yeah, it's the same idea, right? But this one, I believe, has to do with the family. But yeah, so again, same type of concept. We do get some backstory, which is good because one of the things that the original lacks is where the hell the characters came from in the second and third and the fourth one, right? So that's what this one serves as. It gives us a little backstory behind the sheriff of the remake, and we already know he's a Sawyer. And we also know that Leatherface is adopted, apparently, or one of the members of the Sawyer family is adopted, and they don't know that they are. And that's right, a woman dies while giving birth in a slaughterhouse. And Thomas works in the slaughterhouse under the same supervisor who left him in the dumpster. So basically, we find out that Thomas, apparently, um, I believe, is Leatherface. So that was kind of like the opening is really like brutal, but again, it's an okay film. It just again, this is just my opinion, but because I can't remember it, I have to look it up. How good can it possibly be, right? It's definitely got it's a horror film in the sense of like it's got the gore, it's got the gruesomeness. Excuse me. It's got the kills. It's got everything you could ask for to make it a good horror film. But I like plot. I like storyline. I like depth. But if you're going out of your way to create it based off of a remake and not the original, then I'm just kind of like, well, what are we doing here? Like, this is the remake that we're giving a storyline to. I kind of want to know the storyline and plot and backstory to the original. So this one's okay, in my opinion. Then we get Texas Chainsaw 3D. This is the one. Oh, yes. Texas Chainsaw 3D. I, I hate this one. I hate this one. This one's, to me, if I had to rank them, this one's right below, well, right below, not right below, but right above Next Generation. For the most hated ones, it goes this one and then Next Generation. So this one stars Alexandra Daddario, who finds out that she is actually adopted. And not only does she find out that she's adopted, but she's a Sawyer. And obviously this was kept from her because the Sawyer they're the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family, right? They're a bunch of crazy redneck, just a bunch of crazy lunatics, right? They murder people. So she's on her little quest with her friends, and she finds out that she's a Sawyer. And then she calls up her mother and asks, "Why didn't you tell me?" And then she finds out through newspaper articles all about that she's like this lost baby. And she finds out about her family. She finds out about the Sawyer family. And rather than be repulsed like a normal person, she embraces it. She realizes, this is my family, this is my kin, this is where I belong, right? And basically, when people start getting killed because they're coming after her and they're coming after Leatherface, Leatherface now realizes who she is. Because he's not stupid. He looks at her, he realizes he remembered her from when she was a baby. They don't talk. She talks, but long story short, there's one scene where one of the guys who's coming after both of them because they want to put the Sawyers away for good. And the guy is pretty much about to die. And I hate this line so much. Alexandra Daddario looks at Leatherface and goes, "Get him, cuz." And Leatherface proceeds to cut the man apart with his chainsaw. To which I'm like seething from my chair. Like 99.9% of people who find out that they're adopted and that they really come from a sadistic, cannibalistic, killing family are running away in the opposite direction as fast as humanly possible while their legs bleed. And she embraces it. She fucking embraces it. Like it's this honor, like this big badge of honor. Like, I'm a Sawyer. This took me out of the film so fast. And even the ending is just like, spoiler alert. I don't like to spoil shit, but for this, I don't really care because I hate it. Oh, I fucking hate it. Um, Basically, she lives with Leatherface and she makes him dinner and she leaves it down in the basement for him to get, and then she slowly closes the door of the room that he's in. And that's just like, this is my life now. I'm going to give you food and you're going to help me kill. And we're going to be Sawyers together. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. So yeah, I don't like that film at all. I know I made it sound like I don't like that one more than I didn't like Next Generation, but yeah. And then we have Leatherface. This is an origin story. We all love a good origin story, right? If it's done reasonably. Spoiler alert, this one isn't a good origin story. So we find out that Leatherface's name is. Well, they trick you. They actually trick you. So basically, um, the Sawyer mother, Mama Sawyer, gets her boys taken away from her because they're sadistic psychos, right? And they get their names changed when they're put into foster care in the system, right? She finds out where they are and she finds out their names. In the beginning, we're led to believe that this big giant guy, at least I thought this. I saw this big giant guy and I thought, oh shit, that dude's gonna grow up to be Leatherface. That's what I thought. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's this guy, and then he's befriended by this clean shaven guy who's really nice, and he actually befriends a nurse in there. And this is Jed Sawyer. And you know who Jed Sawyer is? Jed Sawyer is Leatherface. This went completely over my head, right? I Googled it because I like to Google shit early. And I'm like, crap, I just ruined it for myself. But then I was like, wait a minute. The quiet kid is Leatherface? It's not the guy with the curly hair that's already big? Because Leatherface looks like totally I think they did that with the pure intentions of throwing you off, right? So I will get to the reason why I don't like this film when it comes to the whole why is this guy Leatherface? But for the most part, there's two other characters who escape from the asylum. And they're kind of like Bonnie and Clyde. That's the best way I can describe them. They're psychopaths. They kill. And to be completely honest, the film pretty much, in my opinion, revolves around them, right? How they kill the sheriff, played by Stephen Dorff, of all people, right? He's going after them because he knows they escaped, and he's got this vendetta to go after them. And so these two are on the run, along with the big kid and, of course, Jed, aka Leatherface. And he actually, the big guy, he ends up killing one of them, right? And then the girl ends up getting killed. So basically, the two die. They take the nurse that I know you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. In a nutshell, it's the two Bonnie and Clyde people, right? Jed, the big guy that we're led to believe is Leatherface, and the nurse. Eventually, it comes down to three of them: Jed, the big guy, and Leatherface. The big guy ends up getting killed. So then it's just Jed and the girl. But eventually, Jed is taken in by his family, the Sawyers. And he gets kidnapped by by his family, and the nurse dies. And he ends up, of course, getting a cut right across his mouth. This is how he becomes Leatherface because he doesn't like the way he looks. So he gets apparently he knows how to knit, and he ends up knitting himself a face, a mask. But of course, it's not. It's an actual leather mask. That's how he becomes Leatherface. Get it? But eventually, he gets so corrupted that he ends up killing his nurse friend. And I just remember thinking, okay, this is a perfect origin story for a supervillain, which technically I suppose he is in some weird horror paradox universe sort of way. But I just I couldn't get behind this film because I just for 9/10 of this film, I just had a list. For 9/10 of this film, Jed is a nice guy. You're rooting for him. You're not rooting for him to become Leatherface. At least I wasn't. And then he becomes Leatherface, and he has no disregard for the nurse. Just takes his chainsaw and just saws her ass in half, right? And I'm just like, no, that's stupid. It would have made more sense if you had the big kid that would become Leatherface. That would have made sense to me. And also the Bonnie and Clyde couple, like it's just no, nope. Finally, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one was made in 2022. This one has 50 years. This one takes place after. This one is part of the original series as well. 50 years later, um, they go to the abandoned Texas town of Harlow, and this couple, they're kind of like content producers. They're like social media influencers. Like you can tell it's modern, right? Just from that. Basically, they buy this property. They come across this kooky woman who's in the property, and the guy's like, "What are you doing here? I own this place." And the woman's like, "No, no, no. I still live here. I still got my notice that I'm legally allowed to live here." And she's run out. And eventually, we come across Leatherface at some point, and he's still lingering in town. And he ends up cutting the guy up, but the guy lives, and he ends up because people are gathered, and it's it's an okay again. It's okay for a horror film, but it's like 50 years later, and he's still alive, and he's unsupervised. Okay, and eventually at the end, there's this girl. What is this guy? I don't remember. Basically, all you need to know is that Leatherface gets stabbed repeatedly. He gets shot. He supposedly drowns, and he comes out of the water, and he's not dead. The fucker's not dead. Of course he's not, because they need to make more films, right? I thought this one was for a horror film about like a slasher type of guy, like slasher type of thing. It's done nicely. It's better than Leatherface. It's better than Texas Chainsaw 3D, and it's better than the Next Generation. So if I had to rank them, this will be the last thing that I do. If I had to rank them, right? 1, 3, the beginning. No, excuse me. 1, 3, the remake. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the last one. Then the beginning. 2, and then 3D and the Next Generation. I might have said one twice, but I didn't Leatherface. Um, so yeah. Sorry if this video got a little off the rails sometimes, but well, just trying to get everything together. But yeah. So this has been my analyzing of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Overall, I think it's a nicely done franchise in the sense that they want to keep the legend alive, right? They want to keep horror fans like us coming back for more to enjoy the series. But unfortunately, I personally feel like they kind of dropped the ball at times. They dropped the ball with 2, but they picked it back up. 3 was good, 4 sucked, remake was good, beginning's okay, 3D sucks, Leatherface sucks, and then the newest one is just kind of like, okay, you're rehashing it, but there's to me, there's a lot to be desired for as good as it is, it's just the original is the standout one. After that, it's pretty much up. It's your opinion as to what you think, and it's up for interpretation. I do hope you enjoyed this video on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. If you like this video, do of course hit the subscribe button so that way you know when I go live any other time. And stay tuned for my next videos. I'm not sure when I'll be going live again, maybe tomorrow. And that will be on another franchise, i.e. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, or Halloween. And I have some thoughts on Halloween. You're not going to like them, but I don't care. Until my next video, have a good one.